Hey everybody, welcome to the What is Conversocial webinar series. This is a series of webinars that we at Conversocial, through our account management team, have put together for you guys to get to know a little bit more about us, what we do, best practice, that sort of thing. So, to start off, there's a bit of housekeeping. The slides on the Conversocial webinar series are all available. At the bottom of your Hangout page, there should be a link, and on the landing page. If failing that, you should be able to see them and follow them through with myself. So I'm just going to go through them here for you guys. So there we go. That should be changing it across to your first screen, which is what is it all about. So yeah, I'll dive right into it. What is Conversocial? The series is basically aimed at helping our current customers to better understand how to use Conversocial and best practices in terms of doing so. It's been built and brainchild of Hannah and myself, who are your Conversocial account management team here, and essentially that's the main purpose of it. Also, there's information in here which is going to be relevant for future customers and people who are generally just interested in what is Conversocial. So yeah, just here with the slide, you can see, in essence, it's aimed at filling the gap in between how you're delivering customer engagement and how using Conversocial, you can really complete that loop to make a full social customer engagement system. So on the next slide, if I just follow that through, it should give you the slide, what is the social engagement hub? Just waiting for that to load up. So yeah, this is really the first of our webinar series. This is looking at how should you organize your social engagement team. Looking at this, we've looked at a load of best practice from industry leaders, people like Gartner, who are developing what this social engagement team should look like. And really what we've come to see from this is having a social customer service team at the center of your engagement. So this team's going to be in charge of processing incoming messages, engaging with customers, dealing with your sort of care issues that are coming in on your channels, and then sharing all of this information and stuff that you're getting out of your channels around the business and really completing that social engagement system on all your kind of social channels that you're getting, and feeding that in line with other channels. So moving on to the next slide, who's in the social engagement hub? Within this section, we're going to really start to look down a bit more detailed about which members of the organization you want in the social customer service team and that social engagement hub. So obviously here we've got the first slide being brand and communications managers. These guys are going to be in there really to help sort of create the brand perception, make a unified system through your engagement hub. So a lot of the need for having a marketing and communications team in here obviously is going to be to get the brand messaging and tone consistent, to give you the sort of timing of social updates that are going out and making sure they're in line with what the current customers are saying, coming out of your social engagement hub, what they're talking to you about. And also to support that social customer service team. This team in the center is really the crux. They're the guys who are engaging on a day-to-day basis, but you're also going to need your marketing and communications team to back those up in more complicated scenarios, which we'll go through further down the webinar. So next in here, on the next slide, we have our customer insight team. So this customer insight and research and development teams who are maybe already existing within your company and your organization, and really allowing them into this social engagement hub or social engagement team where they're going to be able to get a huge amount of information from what's already happening out there. So when you've got your social customer service team feeding back a lot of great information and data, giving this social customer insight team the ability to make real business changes and benefits on that. So for this, what I'm going to do is we have one of our test pages here, Summer Sky Cafe. I'm just going to go through and give you some examples of how this might help. This is where having the slides up might really help you guys just to see a bit clearer, but I'll talk through it as we go. So yeah, looking at this example page, we've got the Summer Sky Cafe here, which is a fictitious brand which we've built from Conversocial. So on here, you can maybe see that there are potential sort of customer issues being posted on the Summer Sky wall, like you would get in any brand, like a lot of your brands have already probably experienced. So here, the one that we've picked up is, do you do coffee with soya milk, for example? A general question that's coming into your engagement hub and allowing you guys to process through it. So let's just look a little bit further in terms of how that would work through in your social engagement team as an example. So yeah, so first of all, a question like that, just a simple question, would come through to the social customer service team. These guys are going to be obviously the central team responsible with sort of engaging with your customers on a day-to-day basis, like we already covered. So best practice for them is just picking up these conversations and sort of running with them. So yeah, Conversocial organizes all our social communications so that they can be easily processed and responded to via the social customer service team with our systemized workflow, as you can see there. So moving on from that, you can see how equipping your specific agents through Conversocial with the relevant information and tools they need to make these responses as seamless, quick, and accurate as possible is going to be really vital. So here we've got obviously your Conversocial history on the right-hand side. Here you can see the history with Anna Drennan, the particular Facebook fan, and obviously having a fully audited workflow in terms of what each agent's doing will give you the ability to see more from your social customer insights, and allowing each agent, as they come in, to provide a personalized and knowledge-filled response, a response that comes from the best information from around the organization. And I'll talk a little bit about how that filters into the organization in a second. But yeah, so moving on from that, yeah, we have, while your agents are providing this vital engagement and feedback, it's also giving a load of, there's more information that can be gathered out of it than just the responding. Using these agents and equipping them with relevant sort of tags and information so that they can do that. So here, obviously the best practice that we've come from is equipping your agents with the relevant tools and knowledge so that they can provide these insights and metrics. Your agents here are the guys that know your brand, they know your customers because they're dealing with them on a day-to-day basis. So it's really allowing them to utilize that knowledge in an effective way. So through Conversocial currently, tagging all the conversations and applying sentiment. Two very basic and really quick things for your agents to do, but providing a huge value of insight and helping the customer service insight team further down the line. So yeah, that's essentially to kind of explain the sort of day-to-day usage and how the Conversocial agents would respond to conversations as they come in. Obviously, that's all well and good as it goes on. As we move forward, there are potential times when the brand's image is sort of put into jeopardy, I guess, by customers posting on your sites, getting in touch with you with relevant issues and complaints that are not just damaging, but could also have a further catastrophic effect in terms of losing future customers, people seeing your brand in not the light that you want them to be seen in, or even not an accurate light. So obviously with these sort of issues, you need to be looking to pull in sort of any brand protection members of the customer engagement team to sort of pick up on this and respond. So yeah, it's obviously going to be a critical way in which you can ensure that everything's coming through. And here we've just pulled in a customer complaint, which was by myself on the Summer Sky Cafe, complaining about unethically sourced cocoa and their in their ice cream, as well as their coffee being of a poor quality. So you can see that obviously if this was shared or promoted, you would see a potential damage to the Summer Sky Cafe brand. So within this, through Conversocial, there's basically two ways in which you can process this, and depending on your organization, this will differ. So it's worth noting here that although this is a best practice and guidance webinar, obviously where we need to look at individual brands, look at specific organizations and industry sectors, we've obviously got a lot of knowledge that is relevant to that we can't necessarily cover for each person on this webinar, but please do get in touch with us at a later date and we'll be more than happy to relay that to your specific organization. But first of all in here, looking through brand protection and engagement, sort of using Conversocial to put in several safeguards in place to protect your company's reputation. So using the tool to set up an approval workflow is obviously the main and critical way of doing this, to check the proportion of agents' outgoing messages for accuracy and relevant tone of voice. So looking at the conversations before they go live and making sure that you're happy to do that. Now, best practice with this, looking from our existing source and customer service best practice, is to have the customer service team's supervisor really in charge of doing this. So this allows, when a complaint comes in, for the agents to respond to it, and then for the customer service supervisor to either accept it or reject it, and continually provide feedback to your customer service team, because of course they are the day-to-day managers. They're the guys that are looking at what's going on, so ensuring that they're furnished with the relevant information, and when they are making mistakes or not adhering to brand guidelines, that's picked up and they're educated on how to do it properly for the next time. So you're constantly teaching your customer service agents, and that customer service center is constantly growing and evolving. And within that, the next slide here just gives an example of how you can use constructive criticism to help your agents. Obviously, you want to better them. They're a huge part of your social engagement team. They make up a big sort of area of it. So using a system like Conversocial and replying back to agents to help develop them personally and professionally within the tool. The next sort of element in here to come to, in the second way of managing conversations that are potentially brand damaging, is more focused for smaller organizations potentially, and this is to essentially where there is just one brand or communications manager that needs to be brought into the social hub specifically to do responses, just assigning over content to them so that they can deal with it and manage with it in an appropriate and accurate fashion, and report back to your customer care team for future kind of responses and issues that need to be resolved. Obviously, again, ensuring that this brand protection is kept safe and your responses are in line with how the company wants them to be dealt with. So here you can see we've assigned a piece of content to Anna, who's in our comms team here at Summer Sky Cafe, and she'll be able to draft the relevant response and make sure that's put out live in the minimum of time. So yeah, moving on from that, we're looking at this this other area of the customer engagement team and the entire customer engagement hub. Now, this is obviously looking through your customer insights and analytics in here, and involving the relevant research and development teams in reporting from your social engagement in the best way to feed back all this information through the business so that action can be taken on it. And a key feature here is utilizing the information that's coming through and acting upon that. So learning from what's been happening there. So obviously all of the activity is going to be fed into reports for the insight team to look and better understand what the customers are saying on the channel. So here, for example, we've got the meaningful insight from the tag analyses and seeing what sort of tags are being used. Here during our example of the product complaints, with me giving issues in terms of unethically sourced cocoa, you can see here it's come under as part of the product feedback, and you not only get that as a relevant sort of number of how many product feedback issues there've been, but a percentage of sentiment in there as well, and can be analyzed on a much more granular level through the data exports that you're able to pull out through Conversocial. And obviously they're quite specific towards what you need again, but using those with relevant trained customer insight and analysis agents is going to really help to pull out more information from your customer engagement team as a whole. So moving on to the next slide here, we're just looking a little bit further into your management teams and people that should continually review and look to improve the team's performance. So here's some examples of how you can use Conversocial to see what's going on, and really we'll be looking at this in a little bit more detail in future webinars when we have things like our real-time damage management dashboard coming through, but just giving your particular insight and reports teams, as well as any managers that are relevant within this and can sort of cross over into this insight team to see what's going on there and really get a full engagement on your social channels. So yeah, just in terms of wrapping this up and giving you guys some takeaway points from today's webinar. We've looked at just some of the 5 key points to pull out of here. So first of all, structuring your team structuring your team with the customer at the center. So using that customer engagement, using your customer service team to really ensure that whatever happens, it's coming out from the customer's needs and demands. They're getting in touch with you on your social channels, and obviously using that to its best effect within the organization is going to be the best way to do that. The other second point here of allocating specific roles to each members of the team and ensuring they're aware of those roles. So obviously each different team member is going to need a different role and a different action out of your social, so that you're all developing as this sort of social engagement team as you go forwards, and making sure that that's made clear to each member. And then secondly to that, obviously when each member knows their role and how they're contributing towards this engagement system, they've also got the relevant information they need to be able to do their job effectively. So obviously here looking at Conversocial and the different elements of it to ensure that they're set up correctly and configured within the system. Yeah, so fourthly here, making use of the customer conversations to improve your company's offering. So using everything that's coming out of the social engagement center and really ensuring that that's used to improve the company's offering and what the company's providing your current customers. They're getting in touch with you on social. So to be there and to respond to them in an appropriate fashion takes the whole organization to really step up towards this one sort of core goal of providing your customers the relevant information they need, and also getting the relevant information out and spread around the company to make sure you're more kind of productive as you go forwards. And then finally in here, obviously it's looking around this idea of centralizing the work as a team, not a group of departments. People will sit within different marketing, PR, customer service, various areas around the organization, obviously customer insight as well, but using your whole team and your engagement hub as one and responding from that, using the strengths from each department, you know, using the agents to be that point of contact, responding, speaking to your customers, bringing that information back and passing it round through sort of any branding teams and marketing teams to promote better content and more accurate content, and using the analytics from that to ensure that you're getting a full vision of what's happening on your social channels. So that really wraps up what we're looking at from today's webinar, and just explains how you can get a social engagement system in place using Conversocial. Like I mentioned before, this is a very bespoke system for each individual organization, and it also can relate into various industry needs and wants. And that's why Hannah and myself are here on hand to help you guys to do that, and we're more than happy to speak on anything more specific at a further date. Feel free to get in touch with us on that, but feel free to tweet me at George Twizel, email george@conversocial.com, or get in touch with any specific questions or issues. And Hannah is going to be hosting our next What is Conversocial webinar, and we'll be looking a little bit further in that one into ways in which to help you guys get the best out of the tool and the system. So providing that there are no other questions, feel free to get in touch with us direct. We're always happy to hear from you guys and get feedback that way. So yeah, thanks very much for listening, and we will see you next time. Cheers.